All right, so I'm going to begin by talking about some transmissions of infections as well as the precautions that go along with those, and then we'll be doing PPE. Um, to begin with transmissions, that can be contact. There's indirect and direct contact. And with direct contact, that is where you are coming into contact with a person directly through touching or maybe touching something like their blood. And then with indirect, what you're coming into contact with might be an object. So it would be person, object, person. An infected person will touch an object, and if somebody else was to come along and touch that, you are susceptible to get that infection. And then we also have droplet, which is a form of transmission where that includes things like talking, coughing, and sneezing. And then there's also airborne. And with airborne, that is just where the particles, pathogens are staying within the air that can be breathed in by a new host who would then get that infection. So precautions for contact. You are going to be wanting to wear a mask and a gown at all times. And then with droplet, you are going to be wearing a mask, because especially 3 feet within your patient, just to protect that going into your airways. And then you will also want the patient to be wearing a mask as they're transported from room to room. And then for the airborne, a patient might be using a mask or an N95 respirator, and they will also need to be in a negative airflow room, wearing a mask when being transported from room to room, and keeping that door closed as much as possible. And then with PPE is considered a standard precaution, which means that that's used in all healthcare with all patients at all times. And with standard precautions, you also have things like hand washing and respiratory precautions, and just taking care of those airways. So to begin with PPE, whenever you are donning, you're going to start with your gown. And then after we put this on, we're going to tie this around the neck and then also around the waist. And then from there, we are going to put on our face mask. And then our gloves, which these might take me a second. The important thing with when you are putting on the gloves and doing PPE, you want to really make sure that you're closing this gap between the wrist and the glove, and I'll point out how to do that whenever I get these on. All right, so to do that, we are going to, and typically, hopefully, longer gloves would be involved here that are more secure to the forearm. We're going to push the gown up into the gloves on both sides. All right, so now that we've got those secure in there, we're going to go to taking off, which is where you're going to go in a reverse of the way that you put them on. You're going to start with your gloves. So you're going to begin by taking that glove off, and then using the hand of the glove you just took off, you're going to put your hand under this glove while holding this one and pull them off so that it's holding them together. And then you're going to dispose of them in a proper disposal. And then you're going to take off your mask. And then you're going to go into taking off your gown just by untying it. And then you're disposing that as well into the proper waste trash can.